who did you have to become to get where you are?
Yo soy Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
I have this quote, only those who risk are free. I was like, why the hell would Lucifer tell me that? Welcome to the Cashflow Cartel podcast, where we share our stories of entrepreneurship and...
This should be in the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. This should be in the podcast. The crinkling of the...
All right, good.
The crinkling of the bottle.
Don't cut that out. Where we share our stories of entrepreneurship and whatever's on our hearts and minds. I'm here with the one, the only, the chief product.
What's going on, brother? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How's your day going?
Good. I understand you just got back from court. How's that going?
Yeah. So, long story short, it's going to court. You got to keep stuff under wraps. But we signed a partner last year that heavily underperformed. Mm-hmm. They didn't agree to the contract, and if you don't agree to a contract, things happen. So, but what happened? I gotta set a new date. It's never the first time.
Yeah. Let's
be real. But besides the point, we're here now. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, let's get straight into it. So we'd like to start off with where you were before.
Okay.
So where were you, and what made you start going down this entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. No, really interesting question. I mean, I was never, I feel like, conventionally cut out for entrepreneurship. So I've always been kind of the nerd, right? I was bullied as a kid. So I was like the small kid, the nerd, quiet, introverted, which you've mentioned before in your podcast. And, what's interesting is, I got straight into engineering, but I didn't even know what I wanted to do until the end of high school, like junior, senior year. I was in the robotics club. I got an invite from my teacher for an elective that I was in, doing a robotics elective. And he said, "You're winning all the competitions. Have you considered joining the robotics team, doing engineering?" I'm like, "No, I think I want to help my dad with the mortgage business, and I think I want to do this and that." Had no clue. Ended up being one of the best decisions of my life. I took the traditional route. So I went to college. I got the degrees. I got the bachelor's. I got the master's, right? But I realized after working for Apple and a couple other startups that I felt like I was too small of a cog and too big of a wheel to work at corporate. I would literally provide some sort of value at a meeting. They would go against that solution. Then they would find out that my solution was correct. Rinse and repeat, but they wouldn't give me any credit. And I'm like, I get I'm entry level, but come on, right? So I'm like, if I'm going to consult in this space, I know I can do it alone. So that's how it started.
So, I mean, you're getting out of college. You're working for these startups. What was the shift? What was the point in time that you were like, yeah, this is it?
I would have to say it was when I realized that I could make money on my own online doing what I was good at. And that actually was like a trip and stumble type thing. So it wasn't entrepreneurship very much was a blessing of accident, right? So I remember a buddy came to me and he was a grad student and he's like, my pops has a project in the kitchen he wants to get done. But he needs, the pre-frame design for some cabinets, some stuff on the wall. I'm like, okay, has he ever explored CAD, computer-aided design, right? Which is the basis of the name of my company, CADversity. We do way more now, but it's an homage to that, right? And I'm like, I'll run a model for him, happy to do it. And he's like, how much can we pay you? And I'm like, that's a thing? You know what I mean? That's a concept. I'm like, no, you're my friend, is that right? But I stepped into that role and I was like, $2,500. I just threw out a number, right? Yeah. Okay. And then boom. Right? I'm like, no way, right? Is it really that simple to have a skill and sell it? And from there, it was lights out.
So what exactly are you doing now? What's all services and stuff?
Yeah, good question. So I run an agency, CADversity, and we are the world's first and only product development and commercial strategy agency. It's a mouthful, but what does that mean? Let's say that you want to develop a branded, water like that, or an energy drink, or an apparel line, or even a medical device or a consumer electronic, a toy, right? If it's a private product, right, we will design it in full 3D and 2D engineering capacity, functional product. We'll package it, design the packaging. We'll send samples to your doorstep, manufactured, of the functioning device and the packaging and the marketing collateral, all that stuff. Then we'll align you with production, so factories, co-packing, co-manufacturing, and we'll get you into your first production run at cost. launch your e-commerce website, and brand everything. So it's literally Shark Tank in a bottle that's affordable and accessible to everyone. And off of that, we have a DBA now, which we're forming a new company called the Home Musketeers. And we're taking our same passion for product assembly and actually applying it to the home. And we're running general contracting and handyman services right now in Tampa, Orlando, and Miami, soon to expand nationwide. And so, yeah, my focus is really on like kinesthetic entrepreneurship. That's my mainstay right there.
What were some of the obstacles that you faced in your journey to get to the point where you're at? And then who did you have to become to get to this point? Yeah.
So it's hard as an entrepreneur to, and I know you agree, to like look back and accredit yourself for the progress, because you're always looking at that next kind of staircase, right? But when I look at it, it's insane. Like you and I you wouldn't have wanted to talk to me a year and a half ago in terms of the level of personal development. Like I was so introverted, nerdy, like could not even carry a sale. Like I couldn't even speak to you coherently. I'm talking about a year and a half ago, right? So the transformation has been incredible. And what's happened has included things like I've been sued egregiously, right? And I'm not even afraid to say that, right? It's like people don't talk about this because they're like, oh, my reputation. My reputation's great. Okay, the whole thing was dismissed, right? It was a whole egregious thing, but it's basically an IP, intellectual property. When you deal with like documents and designs and paper, if one thing goes on the table and someone sees it and it goes to the wrong place, people get upset, even though it didn't happen, but besides the point. But imagine getting sued at 22, right?
Yeah.
And getting sued for like 5 figures, right? That's insane, right? And then on top of that, losing friends, losing my dog, last year that I grew up with my entire life. Lots of sleepless nights, more sleepless than sleepful. I don't even know if that's a word, but broke to wealthy to broke to relatively back and forth until I kind of figured out the model. And yeah, man, that's it.
What were so take us through some specific situations and then like how you overcame them.
Great question. So, I mean, we'll go with the lawsuit, right? Because that's a huge deal, right? Dude, if you read the thing, it's ridiculous. I maintain my innocence, right? People are going to watch this be like, oh, should I do business with them? If you saw it, you'd be like, it's ridiculous. But besides the point, right? The way that I dealt with that was I took it very much 1 minute at a time. Because when I got those summons, it's like intimidating. You're like, there's this dude with like a badge. You're like, what's going on? And you've done nothing wrong. So you're like, what the fuck is going on, right? So sleepless nights, you have issues eating. This is things people don't talk about, man. Like I'm very transparent. I couldn't stomach my food. It was hard to like do normal things. Yeah. Like I could do deep work because it distracts me from everything, which is a great blessing, but I couldn't even like shower. You're like, I'll do deep work before I shower type shit. Right? So how did I handle that? It was quite literally like I would wake up early, go to bed early, like early to bed, early to rise makes a young man healthy and wise, right? Yeah. So I do that, and I would have this eye patch with these earmuffs, and I would drop like a double dose of melatonin with chamomile. So at night, my thoughts wouldn't be able to race. And then I would have my blackout curtains, and I would just do deep work. And that was my life for a month and a half straight, losing weight because I wasn't in the gym until the case got resolved.
Wow.
I just dialed in. I was like, I'm either going to like suffer and not do stuff or suffer and do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just going to suffer regardless.
Yep.
So it's about recognition of reality as opposed to avoiding it that I think is critical to overcoming things in entrepreneurship. Like, I think we had this conversation the other day. It's like most people, especially in this game, we know there's a lot of crazy players, but most people are not willing to be accountable. I'll literally tell a client I fucked up.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it's like, and people are like, oh my God, what about like dissatisfied client? No, your client is dissatisfied because you hid shit from them.
Yeah.
And you snowballed the issue. But they know you're human, and when you sold them, you didn't know it, but you were selling them on you, not selling them on your product.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Most people, and that's why it's so important to build a personal brand, because when you get people to know, like, and trust you, it doesn't matter what you're selling or what you're doing. Yeah. You have people that support you for who you are.
Yeah. And it's hilarious. Like, people come to me like, Nick, why should I work with you? Because I make mistakes. You should work with me because I'm human and I make mistakes. I'm going to get you the result, But that's all that I'm about, man, is I'm very honest and open. I think that with different levels of scale in entrepreneurship, there will be forces that will try and stifle that aspect of my personality. But I do not intend to change. So
You shouldn't, man. I think it's important to stay true to who you are
Yep.
and make sure that like you're just doing right by people. And at the end of the day, you know, if you make a mistake, like I had a situation come up in my business where we were using a third party partner for a specific service. Things went south with that partner, but I reached out to my client, and even though it's out of my hands, I said, I'm gonna comp this service for you and do it complimentary because you came to me for help. And even though it's not my fault, I'm still going to make sure that you're taken care of, and we're going to give you a white glove service from start to finish.
Oh, I do that all the time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I believe it's important to keep those relationships strong rather than, hey, it's this guy's fault. You know, at the end of the day, it's partly my fault for doing business with this person. You know what I mean? And they're prolonging the results for our business. But, you know, I took that and the client was like, dude, you don't have to do that. It's not your fault. I was like, dude, no, I do. Because at the end of the day, you came to me for help. And I want to go above and beyond for you. So if, God forbid, I'm ever in a situation where I need your help, you're there. And that's how I treat a lot of my clients is like I work with them one-on-one like that to make sure that they're taken care of.
Absolutely.
I still have to scale and offload some of the tasks to my team, but that's why I also have a team that I trust. And that was the longest, it took me 2 years to figure out who to trust to offload the certain tasks to. It changed my life once I did that.
And, entrepreneurship is experimenting, right? And it's interesting because I feel like a big issue with our generation, right, is that we're very, on the average, entrepreneurs in our generation are very transactional, right? They're very transactional. And you have to succeed the long game, you have to be relationship-based, to your point. And I think it's important to know where you have leverage, right? I think it'd be hypocritical to be an entrepreneur and say that you have leverage over your clients some way, somehow, and simultaneously say like public servants, like politicians are public servants. That's hypocrisy, right? You as the entrepreneur running the company, you are servicing your clients. It's actually the opposite of that transactional, egotistical approach, which is the fact that they actually own you.
Yeah.
They actually own you, right? And so it's a matter of fact, like I view my client as family, right? And so it's very much the type thing where you have to make sure that you're being extra communicative and extra transparent. And I do that all the time. Like if something's a little bit awry, to give you an example, we work with a lot of manufacturers, right? We're working right now on the world's first animal-based protein puff cereal, which tastes like chocolate. It's going to blow your guys' socks off. Protein puffs coming out soon. Now, this is one of our many projects. In that project, we started working with a co-manufacturer, which means that we developed a recipe for our client in line with the co-manufacturer. They have to fulfill it, right? And so they have to run samples, and we vet the whole thing, and it's a whole thing. Now, in that process, they are like, okay, well, there's contingency. We want you to produce with us. Understood. What are your minimums? And they're saying, it's like, okay, 5,000 boxes. My client can't do 5,000 boxes. My client cannot inject 50 Gs into the first production run, right? And where are we at right now? I negotiated them down to $10,000 from $50,000.
Shit.
Why? Because I had leverage. Why? Because I'm their client and he's mine. So it's playing the ladder, playing the field, right? The only reason I was able to do that is because, oh, you want our recipe? Oh, you've been working with us the last 3 months? We're only going to move forward under these terms. Stalemate, right? So, but you can't do that with your clients.
Yeah.
They can do that with you, and you got to be ready for when that moment hits, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, definitely you got to have loyalty to your clients because those are the people that believed in you enough to build your empire.
Yep.
They're building your empire.
Yep.
You're laying out the foundation, but they're putting down the blocks.
Yep.
Bit by bit, and it's because they believe in you. You know what I mean? So
whether you're a capitalist or a socialist, the working class is the foundation, right? So you're going to treat your working class with respect and dignity, or are you not? Because at the end of the day, you can move locations, you can change the game, change the playing field, you're still going to run into the same bottleneck, which is that you're a shitty leader.
Yep. Yeah, most definitely, dude.
Yeah.
So, what do you have for the future, man? Like, what are you working on now, and what do you see, like, grand scheme? Like, what's the bigger picture for you?
The big picture is in the next 5 to 10 years, a 7 to 8 figure acquisition portfolio of our clients. So our clients put their trust into our hands, right? What we do is we accelerate products for people that want to accelerate brand products into the marketplace from head to toe, right? And so the Protein Puff cereal, we're having equity in that company, right? We're scaling product. It's going to launch in April or May, right? So all of you are going to be able to purchase it online, right? And then we're going to do retail and distribution. But on top of that, I've got clients in the medcare space right now. I've got clients in the pet food space right now. Like, I've got clients in different industries right now, all with fractional equity. So the end goal is that Cadversity is going to be a household name for product business acceleration. No longer do you have to go to the VCs and sacrifice your equity, okay, because it's just a killing house. The VCs are killing houses, right? No longer do you have to kind of FFF it and go to family friend, like figure out the funding aspect of it. And no longer do you have to take out loans if you don't need to. No longer do you have to go on Shark Tank and hope that that's your way in. Yeah. Just come to Cadversity, right? It's a high 4 to low 5-figure investment for 6 to 8 months of work getting your production out into the door, right? So it's a no-brainer. And I think that our acquisition portfolio is going to consist of at least 100 companies in the next 5 years. And think about exit strategy, right? Yeah. We're going to be the only agency that's got all these like ducks in a row on shelves in retail, where when we sell, our valuation is actually fractional valuation across multiple companies. Oh, right? Wow. Yeah. That's the game. And then what do I want to do after that? Real estate and retire. I'm not joking. Real estate, tech, and retire. I want to be on boards. I want to advise engineering companies. It's a big middle finger vendetta for my past, where I was mistreated in the companies and I was bullied in school. And then I'm just going to set sail, man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So you got everything mapped out.
God willing. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are some things that helped you achieve the mindset that you have now?
I would say it's the adversity component of, so my company's called Cadversity. Everything that I do is very like minutely intentional on it. So my entire life has been nothing but kind of adversity through a lot of difficult social dynamics. Man, I'll tell you, I was bullied from literally K through 12 and college. And what is bullying? Comes in different forms, right? Mine was actually like sometimes physical. So mine was sometimes actually like schoolyard bullying, right? So there's levels to it, right? But it just comes down to going through that. I always had that desire to prove myself. And I think that desire and that hunger has always been above the difficulty required to do things.
Do you think in a way that the bullying helped mold you into the man you are today?
1,000%. Because my biggest cheerleader is myself. Every day. For example, today was less than productive. Although right now it's great because I'm on the Cashflow Cartel podcast, right? But in terms of other things I did today, like deep work and calls and stuff, it could have been more productive, right? Yeah. And we all have those days as entrepreneurs. And it's very easy to self-deprecate and to beat myself up. But that's giving into the energy of the people that harass me, that used to abuse me, right? So instead, I got to give into the opposite energy to become that person I can respect and do that every day. And it's a daily practice, right? Yeah. You know who talks about this a lot is who I look up to and admire a lot is Wes Watson. Like I try to model his mindset as much as possible. I was fortunate enough to get on a coaching call with him, but nice. It's very much about, are you going to become someone who's a positive force for change inside of yourself? Because others are not going to do that. They'll either be just there or do the opposite. Yeah. So I don't know are you the same? Do you kind of carry the same?
I mean, I believe personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion against, the conformity that, the elites try to put on us.
I agree.
So yeah. I know Andy Frisella says that a lot. So shout out to Andy.
Cool. Yeah.
Brother, I know we did this kind of last minute, so we'll just kind of wrap it up. But what are 3 books that you recommend that had a positive impact in your life that you recommend to others?
Oh, my God. My list is like 20. But if I had to, I have to pick three. I have to pick
Gotta
three.
be the top three.
Sapiens. It's not necessarily a business-related book, but it goes into all the dichotomies of human history and universal thought and psychology and philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if you want to never be surprised at the condition of what's happening around you, read Sapiens, right?
Okay.
You'll be able to just get the social context of everything, which helps in a lot of things like sales and stuff like that. Way of the Wolf.
Oh,
You have to read Way of the Wolf. The reason you have to read Way of the Wolf is because it's not necessarily a book about a sales process so much as it's a book about like your emotional complex and how you prepare yourself for adversity and convincing somebody that they need to know what they didn't know, which is that it was valuable for them. Because it already is. Like, that's the assumption of the sale. Great book. And then Think and Grow Rich. I think
that's a staple.
It's a staple. And the reason I have to put that there is because, once again, it's not a book about business. You think it is until you read it. It's a book about your emotional complex and how you handle yourself as a man and as a woman, as a business person, right? I think, like, people think these are books about business. You got to pick it up and read it.
I think before you even jump into business, you have to become a different person in order to run the business.
Yep.
Because it's not for everyone.
It's not. And then that business will also mold you as well.
Yeah.
So even if you think that your mindset is on lock, which it could be on a textbook, on a piece of paper, once you actually experience entrepreneurship, 3, 4, 5 months in, you're going to become a new person, a version 3.0, just by way of the shit that's going to hit you and the experience that you're going to go through. I can't imagine you a year ago. I'm sure you can't imagine yourself a year ago, because I know I can't about myself, and that's probably going to continue until the end of our legacy.
Yeah, I do just continuously, day by day, get better and fucking become the most elite version of myself. That's my only goal. And
I think 1% better every day compounded is something on the tune of 380% or 3,900% across, like, annually, something like that on the compound interest model. If you put in 1% improvement every day, it's like a 3,900x fold. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it's a huge number, like 3 or 4 digits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know we kind of did this last minute, but I appreciate you making the time. I love the conversation, and I look forward to doing some business together hopefully soon.
Likewise. Thank you very much, man.
Brother.
It's a pleasure.